most of the campus here, and two showing details. This one is a detail of the Blinden station. To do, because the idea was that the bridges will be changed and a new kind of connection will be made, and the flows might be changed slightly and so that you can position in detail all these things. Can we put down the sound level? Then we have a third map, and this basically shows the connection between the old and the new campus, because the idea was that it is not very visible and they're not well connected, and what can we do to improve this connection. And for these basically two scenarios, I've looked for content, and I've looked. It's not one structure, but a different structure. So we've got a row here, for instance, with different kinds of artworks and interactive artwork you could have in these spaces where people can meet and discuss. Then you have and experience things. Then you have a whole group with different kinds of shelters and pavilions, which you can imagine can have different uses. Maybe as studios, maybe as meeting places, maybe as replacing parts of the station, as waiting places, maybe as, and this could even be a small cinema or stages. Here's different kinds of stages outdoors, or you can imagine also indoors for performances, just different activities. Here also more activities such as different kinds of sports. We had some chess and some tennis, and we had some basketball somewhere and so forth. And here you've got all the bridges, different kinds of bridges. You can imagine in various scales.
Quite extravagant bridges.
Just to think about what a bridge can mean and what could it be. Then in between, all this content is actually all 2D content. It could also be 3D content, but we don't have it at the moment. And so all this content, there are three types of content. There's 2D images that, or 3D content, and these get mapped to the triangular form. And the reason they get mapped to the triangle form, you map them by taking, for instance, you want to map this to a red triangle. All you do is put the card you want to map to the red triangle here on the red surface, actually on the gap here. And there's RFID tracking, so it gets recognized.
We can't see it because the viewing angle.
Because I'm not looking at it. So you rotate the viewing angle. Actually, I don't know if we have red in this panorama. I'm not going to go into that now. Mickey, you can do it for me, or Lisa, rotate the so that you actually, or I put it here and you see enough
with the rotating.
Okay.
and see the read in.
Yeah,
there it is. If it's, for instance, I'll go back to the scales later. Okay, there's this type of content. Then there's another type of content. Okay, we have images with 3 levels of sound for this. We have the sound of the panorama, where you are. That's the position. For instance, you are here at this position, which is wrong because it's not read in, and the map scale is not read in. Otherwise, it's more difficult to show things. This is wrong.
The map is wrongly placed. Yeah.
Yes, correct it for me. It's still extremely different. So we have some wrong matching. So imagine that this would be correct. I've made photos here on the bridge, the existing bridge we have now between the two campuses, and there's 360 degrees. So you can use the wheel to rotate around the point 360 degrees, and the same we have for the sound. So we did not only make photos, but we took the sound recordings of that panorama, and you hear it spatially. And that's the one level of sound. The second level is some of the 2D content have already pre-associated sound. So as soon as you connect them to a token and you place them somewhere, you hear them. And you do not only see them. And another level is if it's not pre-connected. You can also, we have sound cards that you can just associate to the token. And I think Gammon would have to turn it on to hear it. Okay.
As I can see here, it's just the panorama you can hear right now, but not the token.
Okay. Whilst they're doing that, we have another level, and that's ground textures. We can either by defining boundaries. For instance, whilst we're working and we're constructing flows, we're constructing borders. And in a closed set of borders in an area which is closed, you can place, which I cannot now because there's no closed area, you can, for instance, associate this texture as a ground texture to fill in the area. Yeah, to work with the ground, either to define uses or what this area should be like, or to give it actual surfaces. Okay, that's one thing. And the other is that we've got that we've got a topology of different flows, like low and high pedestrian streets or bicycle routes, or we've got trains flowing, and in order to construct these, you just take two rectangles, and from one point to the next, it makes a line, and the flows start flowing in the topology you gave it. So it has a specific density of people on the street walking at a specific pace. And since these were used to be straight, these lines, but there was an affordance that you can make curves and all sorts of paths. And so if they're not, yes.
They are now in the air, very interesting.
But there's some old ones. This is now not this because it's not being tracked. But if you start turning them, they start arching. And yeah, and so you can make different kinds of curves, and at any time you can just change the topology you said you had to something else. Yeah. So we have three basic forms. The rectangles for the flows, the triangles which you can rotate, and the billboards also rotate for 2D and 3D content, and the circles for defining ground textures or uses. And apart from that, since nothing is working, I'm going to continue to talk. Apart from that, we have two special tokens.
It started again.
Really? Is it still loading? Well, then I can try something. This is green. So what do you want? Bicycles, trains?
Bicycles.
Bicycles?
Do you have scooters?
Many? Less? No, I'm sorry, we didn't prepare them.
Psych.
But we could. So bicycles, many or few? Many. So there we are. These are the many. The purple ones are still people. The gray ones are bicycles.
Maybe I should adjust the camera.
Please adjust it to the actual panorama.
And so those are the people on,
And they're much too high, so bring them to the ground.
They're
Yes.
still too high?
No, they're getting slowly there.